欢迎光临朋友，我是小毛啊，我就来给你们一个 podcast，谢谢你们的朋友，参加我的 podcast. Welcome everyone to Little Mao's podcast. I have some great stuff for you today. I'm going to continue to review Little Mao, Chairman Mao. I'm Little Mao, this is Big Mao. And I'll go over some quotations today. I wanted to talk about this podcast is a satire. I want to make that clear. 这个 podcast 就是一个讽刺，我要弄清楚我的目的，给你们听，给你们看。这个 podcast 就是一个讽刺。Okay. So, core principle of Little Mao's podcast is no speech, no life. 没有言论，没有自由啊。No speech, no life. And as Nietzsche said, without music, life would be a mistake, and free speech is a logical extension of music. So therefore, I think it's important to understand why free speech is so important. Today, Marxism, the Little Red Book. I want to talk to everyone a little bit about this book. So this book was first published in 1967. It has 267 quotations. It covers 25 different topics like war and peace. And I'm going to be reading to you in Chinese and translating just as I did on the previous podcast. This book was instrumental in the propaganda campaign from 1966 to 1976. Everyone had one of these. People were walking around screaming, Mao, Mao, Mao. Mao 主席万岁! Mao 主席万岁! 众人向毛主席磕头致敬. So everyone was crazy about this. Now, the core idea that you should take in mind is that Mao loved Leninism. He often quotes Leninism and Marxism throughout this book. So today I'm going to talk about all the different... I'm going to bring up a couple interesting crushing facts about Marx. I'm going to bring to you some crushing facts about Lenin. And I think you're going to be very shocked that there are idiots in the United States that claim to be Marxist and socialist after hearing exactly who these people were. So we'll be covering that today as well. And as I stated in the previous podcast, Marxism has 4 axioms, 4 truths. That is, it feeds and breeds on corruption, it feeds and breeds on inequality, feeds and breeds on conflict, and it feeds and breeds on death. There are ample examples of this. I encourage all of you to... Okay, so I'm going to skip that. Alright, so going to quotations 5 and 6 for today on the party. I'm going to read to you the quotation, and then I'm going to give you an English translation. Alright, so 一个有纪律的、有马克思列宁主义的理论武装的采取自我批评方法的领起人民群众的党，一个有这样的党领导的军队，一个有这样的党领导的各革命阶级、各革命派别的统一战线，这3件是我们战胜的敌人的主要武器。What is this all saying? 一个有纪律. If you have self-discipline, 马克思列宁主义的理论. If you have self-discipline in Marxist theory and Lenin theory, you can accomplish anything. This is a witch doctor without a cure. This is just complete bullshit. If you... The mechanism is self-criticism to the party. This is pure indoctrination, pure bullshit. 就是狗屎啊，就是傻傻的干嘛讲，就是真的不可思议的观念啊。So, why is this important? Why am I talking about this quotation? Why am I talking about Marxism? Because as Nietzsche said, everyone is the unconscious exponent of a dead philosopher. Everyone is the unconscious exponent of a dead philosopher. In China today, you still have leadership there, which are basically gangsters and corrupt. But you have leaders there that promote Leninism, quote Leninism even still today, and the concepts of Leninism. And we're going to talk about how great Lenin is later on. So that was quotation number 5. And I'm going to give you a little more explanation. So 一个有这样的党领导的军队. So if you have the party and of course the army leading, so it's all by force, not by will. And if the party can, this is the battlefront of many groups, and through the party with these ideas in mind, this is our principal weapon. You will prevail over the enemy. The enemy is anybody who's non-Chinese, basically. That was really what Mao was promoting. He was a pure racist, just like Marx was a pure racist. So I'm going to give you the direct translation. A well-disciplined party armed with the theory of Marxism and Leninism, using the method of self-criticism, linked with the masses of the people, an army under the leadership of such a party, a united front of all revolutionary classes and all revolutionary groups under the leadership of such a party. These are the 3 main weapons with which we have defeated the enemy. Pretty inspiring, right? Next, I'm going to talk about quotation number 6. 我们应当相信群众，我们应当相信党，这是两条根本的原理。如果怀疑这两条原理，那就什么事情也做不成了。So if we, in quotation number 6, he's basically saying, 我们应当相信群众. If we believe in the masses, and we believe in the party, we can accomplish everything. If we have a doubt, he says, 如果怀疑这两条原理, if you have any doubt on these 2 principles, then you will 做不成了，就是 accomplish nothing. Again, 就是狗屎啊，就是狗屎，就是胡说八道。我不相信他，那么多人相信这样子马克思主义的，还有马克思主义者在美国相信那个 Marx， 相信毛泽东，他们真的有傻的有毛病，他们的脑子，我觉得。Okay, so I'll read the direct translation. We must have faith in the masses, and we must have faith in the party. These are the 2 cardinal principles. If we doubt these principles, we shall accomplish nothing. We shall accomplish nothing. That's it. So I hope you're all inspired by this dogmatic, pathological, sociopathic bullshit. I hope that you're inspired. 毛主席万岁，拜登主席万岁，Obama 主席万岁. So people that promote Marxism promote violence, they promote death, and they promote inequality. That's the byproduct of all of this. As I progress through the podcast, I'm going to give you more and more examples of this. And that's it. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about Marx, the racist. 马克思就是一个种族者。So 我给你一个例子要听，我说英文啊。Okay, so this is Marxist, the racist. This is Marxism. All the people, the founders, for example, of Black Lives Matter, who proclaim to be Marxist, they promote racism because Marx was a racist. By default, they are promoting racism because Marx was a racist. And if you want evidence, here it is. So, crushing fact. Here, this is a direct quote from Marx. The capitalist knows that all commodities, however scurvy they may look, or however badly they may smell, are in faith and in truth money inwardly circumcised Jews. Yeah, he really said that. And what is more, a wonderful means whereby out of money to make more money. As soon as society succeeds in abolishing the empirical essence of Judaism, huckstering, and its conditions, the Jew becomes impossible because his consciousness of the Jew is the emancipation of society from Judaism. Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. It's really incredible. Um, what's really interesting too is马克思和列宁的主义，维尼熊很喜欢推动这样的观念啊。如果你听他的演说，你就知道他很喜欢这样的观念啊。这是杀人的哲学，杀人的哲学就是这样子。All right, now let's talk about Lenin. 列宁，我要跟你们讲他是杀人。我给你一个例子要听。I give you an example of Lenin, the murderer. He wrote to one province, Hang without fail so the people see. No fewer than 100 known kulaks, vishner, or bloodsuckers. Publish their names. Sound familiar? Publish their names. That's Lenin. Remind you of anything? Social media? Brown shirts of Nazi Germany, the black shirts of Mussolini, and BLM and Antifa, the social media justice warriors. Publish their names. Dox them. This is pure hatred. This is pure Lenin murdering ideology. Take them, and then number 3, he wrote, take from them all the grain. Remind you of anybody? Trudeau? Trucker convoy? Seize their bank accounts, take their grain from them. This is pure Trudeauism right here. Right straight from Lenin. If you want to know where he got the idea to seize their bank accounts, he got it from Lenin. Number 4, from Lenin to a province. Designate hostages. So the result of that was hanging of people, burying people alive, and raping hundreds, if not thousands, of women. Pretty beautiful. And hacking people. That's Lenin. That's the tenet of Leninism. That's a direct quote and a letter that he wrote. So that was a crushing fact for Lenin. Now I'm going to talk about more crushing facts. I'm going to talk about meta lies, or things that have not been exposed. So I think it would be interesting to mention, most of you should already know this, and this is directly from an article from NPR News in April 2017. Lab funding of Wuhan, China, directly from NPR News. I'll put the link below. April 2017, according to NPR News, $3.25 million for over 5 years funding from the United States to the Wuhan Lab, right? Which $3.1 million was dispersed. Now remember, this is in 2017. The $3.7 million was approved last year as a 5-year renewal. In fact, while the grant for the project was indeed given in 2015 under Obama and Biden, gave money to the Wuhan Lab, for $3.25 million dispersed, the $3.7 million was approved last year as a 5-year renewal. I will give you guys a link below. Make up your own minds. As you know, the goal of this podcast is to promote free speech and to present crushing facts. Read the links, go through it, and see for yourself. One other crushing fact that I want to point out to you is that within a week or two, I don't have the exact date, the Biden administration shut down the State Departments on the origin of the coronavirus. I'll say that again. Within a week after Biden was elected, or within a couple weeks, he shut down the investigation to find out the source and origins of the coronavirus. Does this make any sense to anybody? You have a global pandemic that shut down the world economy. He doesn't want an investigation to figure out what it is. No root cause analysis. I mean, 我觉得他的头是木头做的，是傻傻的，傻傻的，是干嘛讲啊？ I mean, I will provide a link. He did not consult with the NIH. He did not consult with Dr. Fauci. I have that in Senate testimony, question and answer. I will give you the link. Judge for yourself. Don't be an ideologue. Don't be a hijacked ideologue. Make up your own minds. I'll give you the link for the Senate hearing where this was canceled. The investigation was canceled and no consultation with the NIH experts. I have it in front of the Senate committee. I will show it to you in the link below. Read it. Judge for yourselves. I only wanted to present it to you for you to consider. And now I want to talk about another crushing fact that's quite comical. It's relating to Alexandria Cortez, a congresswoman from New York City. She's a Democrat, and she tweeted this, and I'm going to give you the date. She was down in Florida vacationing without a mask on. She was taking some criticism for it, and so she tweeted on December 31st, and this is a direct quote from AOC. They call her AOC for my Chinese friends. AOC means this congresswoman from the United States Congress, Alexandria Cortez, that's her AOC. If Republicans are mad they can't date me, they can just say that instead of projecting their sexual frustrations onto my boyfriend's feet. Yeah, creepy. 他的头是木头做的，他是反统啊，丑角，最大的丑角啊。Who talks this way? I mean, I don't even know teenagers that talk this stupidly. I mean, to me, this is a crushing fact because I can't believe someone would tweet something like this, who's an outspoken person for the Democratic Party. I hope she grows up someday. She has potential, but this is really comical. Number 3, I'm going to talk about Jerry Nadler. Jerry Nadler is also a Democrat congressperson from the House of Representatives. In a recent street interview, he said, Antifa is a myth. 狗头军事，傻傻特他的头是木头做的。他说的 Antifa 不是真的，是假的。I'll give you many links below to view and judge for yourself if Antifa is a myth. I mean, this is 很好笑啊. It's pure comedy. I mean, clowns. 丑角啊. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is China's environmental conditions. And as you know, in my previous podcast, I cover environmental issues. China, here they are. China is the number 1 exporter of mask-wearing culture. Number 1. Number 1 contributor of sulfur oxides, chlorofluorocarbons, and CO2. Number 1 in terms of polluted lakes. 75% of the lakes are polluted in all coastal seas. China possesses 7% of the fresh water. Only 2% is safe for human consumption, according to the WHO. And only 20% of the domestic water is treated. Just think about that. Their entire food supply is toxic. The water is toxic. Anything and everything coming out of China that involves water, be very afraid. Number 5. 5 billion tons of soil lost per year from soil erosion. That's pretty amazing. Number 6, Lowe's Plateau below the Yellow River, 70% of it has eroded. So you need to look at a map and understand the implication of this, but this is just completely 不可思议，就是真不相信那么恐怖啊. All of it. I'm not even done yet. I'll keep going. That's really amazing. 50% decrease in the area of cropland. Over the past 20 years, 30 years, a 50% loss in the area of cropland due to pollution or environmental destruction. Take your pick, pick your poison. Number 8, one of the most forest-poor countries, only 0.3 acres of forest per person compared to the world average, which is 1.6. 16% forest coverage in China compared to Japan, which has 74%. And here's the last one. 90% of China's grasslands are now considered depleted. So take a look at their map, look at their geography. I mean, the environmental damage is beyond imagination. So I thought you would find these crushing facts about the environment really interesting. So 你要谢谢毛泽东，也要谢谢太感谢那个维尼熊，你那么厉害呀，就是非常恐怖啊，就是狗屎啊，你推动狗屎啊。目的，他们的我觉得维尼熊的目的就是挫败环境啊。I think this is an important fact because I think that most of the premier economists of the world and most media stations haven't been very vocal about what's really going on in China. They try to promote and exaggerate GDP growth rates in the backdrop of this. This is a complete disaster and failure. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is a really interesting one for me. The word fairness. If you hear a politician use the word fairness, run as fast as you can. Run, run, run. This is one of Obama's favorite words. And what does this word mean? It means nothing. It's a cover of ambiguity. It's the vanity of individuals who contribute nothing. That's a quote from Daniel Hannan, the author of Inventory of Freedom. I recommend that you read this book. I would say the largest contribution for Obama and Biden was to increase the national debt of the United States from $9 trillion to $19 trillion. This is the biggest blunder in American history. But who knows, maybe bigger blunders are coming. What does that translate to everybody? 9 trillion to 19 trillion. I'll tell you what the contribution is. The contribution and the definition of fairness offered by Obama and Biden is that the two of them, single-handedly, and it's unfair to just blame him or blame these two individuals. There are other people involved. Do some research on this. Do some fact-checking on your own. But basically what this means is that your children, the children of the United States, are now bankrupt. They're borrowing on the future earnings of your children and your grandchildren. They're already bankrupt. It's pretty impressive. Next thing I want to talk about is inflation. There's been media reports that inflation is good. I recommend everyone to read this book, When Money Dies, by Adam Ferguson. Here you have this is about pre-World War II in Germany and inflation. It's a great book. I loved reading it. It gives you gives you the full skinny on how you could turn a country completely upside down by printing money. Great book. And on environmental issues, I recommend that you read this book, The Environmental Facts That I Listed Related to China. This is called Collapse, How Societies Choose to Fail and Succeed by Jared Diamond. I read this book a couple times, reviewed it. He's also the author of Guns, Germs, and Steel. And as you can see, I read it many times. It's a great book, and the facts that I listed to you are within this book relating to inflation and what the damages are. It's here. And I'm also going to put a link below relating to inflation from someone from the Canadian Parliament talking about current trends on printing money in Canada and in the United States. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the Ukraine. A terrible thing. I'll start by just saying that. A very terrible thing. But I want to say that the Ukraine is gangster land. There's a lot of players involved in the Ukraine. You have Biden and Burisma and his son. You have other actors in Western Europe that are involved and have skin in the game in the Ukraine. You have oligarchs in the Ukraine like Kolomowski, who was involved in Burisma. You have the Ukraine in April 2014 stealing over $1 billion of U.S. taxpayer money through a bank called Privat Bank that was last seen in Cyprus, the funds that Biden and Obama were involved in supporting this transfer to the IMF. And if you're curious, I'm going to put some links relating to the complexity of the Ukraine. It's a quagmire. It's a quagmire of corruption, gangsters, and power plays. The United States is not a gangster country. Joe Biden is no gangster. Obama is no gangster. I don't know if they think they are, but they aren't. We need to stay out of there. We need to stay far away from the Ukraine. If you want to read a great book, this and most of the facts in this book relating to the transactions involving the U.S. government in 2014, it's all outlined in this book. It's never been refuted. It's never been denied by the individuals on the front. They don't deny it. If you want to understand what's really happening there and what's led to the current crisis there, you really have to read this book by Peter Steele. Secret Empires, or I'm sorry, Peter Schweitzer. Sorry, Peter Schweitzer. He's also the author of New York Times bestseller, author of Clinton Cash. Great book, extraordinarily insightful. It outlines in detail money transactions, visits, people involved, uh, fund managers, shakedowns of corporations through policy. Great book. So that's it, guys, for this podcast. Thank you, everyone. 我要谢谢你们参加我的 podcast。没有评我就有一个评论，就有一个原则要再说跟你们，就是没有言论没有自由啊，不要忘记了，非常重要。So thank you. No speech, no life, everyone. Thank you and peace out.